Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Ram
Hare Krishna.
Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Ram
Hare
Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Ram Hare Krishna
Krishna.
Krishna Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Ram 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 Hare Krishna Hare Hare Ram Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Ram Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Ram Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Ram Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Ram
Krishna Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Hare Ram,
Vanchakalpatarvyaścha kripa sindhuvyacha
Krishna
पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। नामाचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। श्री प्रभुपाद की जय। हरे कृष्णा। प्लीज एक्सेप्ट माय humble obeisances. All glory to Krishna Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. This is Shamarasika Devdasi from Germantown, Maryland. Please forgive me for stopping your ecstatic chanting. I welcome all the devotees on the early morning call today. The spiritual quote for whose name is a Vaishnava bestows the priceless gift of the Mahamantra Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Simply by chanting this mantra, one can remain in a liberated state. This is explained in the book Matchless Gift, Chapter 7, by Srila Prabhupada. So, may I know who's there in the call today?
Hare Krishna, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. This is Nikunjana Sadas from Germantown, Maryland.
Hare Krishna, Nikunjas Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai. Thank you so much for joining.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Madhatam to you and all the devotees on the call. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai. This is Rupini Padma Devi Dasi from Orlando, Florida.
Hare Krishna, Rupini Padma Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai. Thank you so much for joining.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. This is Pooja from Sydney.
Hare Krishna, Puja Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai. Thank you so much for joining. Anybody else who would like to announce their name? I see Annapurna Mataji and Ram Giridhari Prabhu is here too. Okay, Hare Krishna.
Hare
We
Krishna.
also, Hare Krishna, Annapurna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai. Thank you so much for joining. And Hare Krishna, Hare Radha Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki
Hare
jai.
Krishna.
Thank you so much for
Srila
joining.
Prabhupada. Thank you.
Yes. And I see Ram Giridhari Prabhu also. So Hare Krishna, Ram Giridhari Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai. Thank you so much for joining and welcome to the call. So we are so fortunate to have His Grace Ram Giridhari Prabhu from Mumbai, India. And Prabhuji will enlighten us on Srimad Bhagvatam 7.2.24 and onwards. Please take over the call, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much. And it's always my pleasure to be in the assembly of Vaishnavas. And we will be churning some nectar from 7th canto. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudire Ashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevayam Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki. So today we are reading from Srimad Bhagvatam, Canto 7, Chapter 2, text number 24. Evam gunair brahmyamane manasya vikalaf puman yati tat samyatam badre yalingo lingavaniva. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Translation. In the same way, O my gentle mother, when the mind is agitated by the movements of the modes of material nature, the living entity, although freed from all the phases of subtle and gross bodies, thinks that he has changed from one condition to another. Purport. As stated in Srimad Bhagavatam 10:84-13, Yasyatma buddhi punape tridhatuke swadhi kala tridhashu bhauma ijyadhi yatirtha buddhi salile na karihijik jane swabhigneshu sa eva gokaraha. A human being who identifies the body made of three elements as the self, who considers the byproducts of the body to be his kinsmen, who considers the land of his birth worshipable, and who goes to a place of pilgrimage simply to bathe rather than to meet men of transcendental knowledge there, is to be considered like a cow or an ass. Although Hiranyakashipu was a great demon, he was not as foolish as the population of the modern world. Hiranyakashipu had clear knowledge of the spirit soul and the subtle and gross bodies. But now we are so degraded that everyone, including the exalted scientists, philosophers, and other leaders, is under the bodily conception of life, which is condemned in the Shastras. Sa eva gokaraha. Such persons are nothing but cows and asses. Hiranyakashipu advised his family members that although the gross body of his brother Hiranyaksha was dead, and they were aggrieved because of this, they should not lament for the great soul of Hiranyaksha, who had already attained his next destination. Atma, the spirit soul, is always unchanged. Avikala Puman. We are spirit souls, but when carried away by mental activities, Manodharma, we suffer from so-called material conditions of life. This generally happens to non-devotees. Harava bhaktasya kuto mahatgunaha. Non-devotees may possess exalted material qualities, but because they are foolish, they have no good qualifications. The designations of the conditioned soul in the material world are decorations of the body. The conditioned soul has no information of the spirit and its exalted existence beyond the effects of material condition. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakayam Chakshurun Militam Yenam Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaham Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Evam Gunair Brahmyamane Manasya Vikhala Puman Yati Tat Samyatam Badre Yalingo Lingavaniva. In the same way, oh, my gentle mother, when the mind is agitated by the movements of the modes of material nature, a living entity, although freed from all the different phases of the subtle and gross bodies, thinks that he has changed from one condition to another. So we are in the context where Hiranyakashipu is narrating about what has happened. These verses that we are reading now, starting from verse number 20 of this chapter, they are all spoken by Hiranyakashipu, who is addressing his mother, sister-in-law, nephews. They are all lamenting about Hiranyaksha's death. So, as Hiranyakashipu is trying to take charge of the situation, he is consoling the family members and speaking some philosophical statements to substantiate his points. This opens up so many interesting realizations and lessons for us to learn. One of the most interesting part is that demons are talking about soul and its functions and its destinations. Typically, when a person is in the materialistic modes, when his consciousness is completely set into enjoying this materialistic world, his thought process is always self-centered. With the self-centered thinking, he conveniently uses logic, philosophy, technology, and sometimes even power, position, money, everything to justify his action. Whilst this verse that Hiranyakashipu spoke today has got a philosophical insight. So this what he is saying in this context is how the material modes, they will constantly work upon an individual. And he is talking about karma theory. He is talking about reincarnation. He is talking about eventualities of this material world. Interestingly, he is not ready to surrender to the Supreme Controller. So we are going to churn this current context as usual through some sets of reflections and try to learn some lessons for us. My very first reflection is about the nature of demoniac persons, or to put it in the context, demoniac nature within us, demoniac nature within a sadhaka. As we all know that we have multiple personality disorder, in the sense that we do have some seeker within ourselves who is seeking the truth. We do have within ourselves a notorious person who wants to enjoy everything. We do have within us an envious person who cannot tolerate others' happiness. We do have a lusty person within ourselves who wants to enjoy that is surrounding us. And this is the nature of Kali Yuga. Unlike previous yugas where demons used to live outside of us, primarily. But in Kali Yuga, demons are primarily staying within ourselves as different personalities. At least I can say this for myself. And each of us have to reflect upon ourselves to say how much I am suffering or I am recognizing my multiple personality disorder. When I am with devotees, when I am in Bhagavata Sangha, I resonate, I talk about spiritualistic subject matter. When I am with my friends, with my family, with my colleagues, and when I am alone with my technology and my gadgets, we are different people. At least if I want to examine about my status of my Krishna consciousness, am I a same person all these situations, whether it is with my family, whether it is with my friends, with my colleagues, with myself alone, in front of social gatherings? That tells us how matured, how sane I am. So my first reflection is about that the demon within us to be recognized. And of all the symptoms, a demon within us that can be recognized easily when we use every possible resource to gain a mileage for yourself. In a sense, we will try to use philosophy, power, name, fame, position, followers, knowledge. We will use everything. Sometimes it may apparently appear that we are some samajik sevak, that trying to revolutionize the society. But if we analyze to the core of our heart, all of those things are done for self glorification and self projection. This is very subtle. Sometimes we don't even recognize and realize this, until some really major impact that is given upon ourselves. So the point I want to say is that the early a person recognized Hiranyakashipu within ourselves. In Srimad Bhagavatam alone, we have few instances where these demoniac propensity brought out as a philosophical conversation. Prabhupada, even though in the purport he is kind of giving a small amount of credit to the demons then, saying that they were demons, but still they understood Atma Tattva Vishaya. Unlike the modern day scientists, philosophers and leaders who have absolutely no clue of that also. So to that extent, demons were knowledgeable, demons were understanding the science of spirituality, but they were not interested in obeying to that because of their own arrogance and superiority complex. So my first reflection is about an ability for a practicing devotee to learn to recognize, acknowledge the demon within ourselves. I'll give you a few examples. 4th canto, 2nd chapter, Daksha did exactly similar to what Hiranyakashipu is doing. Hiranyakashipu is talking about soul, next life, reincarnation, and trying to say how you should not bother and trying to console, giving some philosophy, knowing that we are not this body, spirit, soul, and how this material world is a place of happiness and distress. Look at the verse 22 of this chapter. He's talking about how happiness and distress will come and go. No one should lament for this passing spirit soul from the body. He's actually speaking 2nd chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Suppose if nobody has given the context, and if somebody reads this verse 22, 24, and instead of saying Hiranyakashipu Vacha, if you just, just read the verse, we will not even be able to recognize that these are all spoken by a demon. So I was telling the 4th canto part, where Daksha was giving so many important relationship-related advices, behavioral advices, self-conduct of a person, accusing Lord Shiva. And Prabhupada writes there, when he was speaking, he was not, speaking in a manner that it is humiliating someone. He was humiliating Lord Shiva, but he was projecting as if he is being the well-wisher of everyone and trying to give a piece of advice. He is trying to be concerned for everyone. So Srila Prabhupada writes that how cunning and diplomatic Daksha was, that his dislike towards his own son-in-law, he hid them, and he kind of told that this is not just targeting any individual, rather he is trying to give a general piece of advice. This is Daksha. Kamsa, when Kamsa was, taking Devaki and Vasudev, Kamsa conducted himself as a very wonderful person, showing his love towards his sister. He drove the chariot for his own sister. He's a Maharaja. Driving a chariot means it's almost a menial job, but he did it in front of everyone to show how much he loved his sister. But what happened when the Akashvani came? When he got the message from the sky about the death of himself from the 8th child of Devaki, everything changed. Ravana. It is said that Ravana used to be one of the very intelligent persons. Every head attributes to one art and speciality of himself. One head of Ravana is about art and music. One head of Ravana is about chanting of Vedic mantras and whatnot or what more. So, but what happened when lust overpowered him? So everything collapsed. So the idea is that recognizing the demon within ourselves is a very important agenda. If we do not recognize, we may misconclude. We may conclude that we are devotees. We are practicing nicely. We will not try to attend to that demoniac propensity within ourselves and let them grow, who will eventually kill our Bhakti Lata Bij. Chaitanya Charitamrita very clearly wants this anartha, which looks exactly like Bhakti, but it is not Bhakti. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami writes that in our heart, next to the Bhakti Lata Bij, there are some weeds grow. And he is listing several weeds. Kutinati, and he's listing almost 7-8 weeds. Diplomacy, duplicity, hypocrisy, fault-finding nature. He's listing several things. He's saying that these all are weeds which are detrimental, which are not very conducive for one's spiritual growth, and they need to be carefully removed. Otherwise, Bhakti Lata Bij's growth will get delayed. And whilst explaining in that context, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami says that there is one specific type of a weed, one specific type of a nuisance in our spiritual life, which looks exactly like a Bhakti Lata Bij. So one need to be very careful to identify them. And he says this identification sometimes may not be possible by one's own endeavor. With the help of an expert devotee, I'm paraphrasing, he says with the help of an expert devotee, one can recognize and identify bhakti look-alike within ourselves, and we should remove them because they are nothing but a weed which is going to consume all our energy and confuse us to make us believe that we are devotees. So my first reflection in this context is that somehow or other, one need to take a regular care, a regular endeavor, regular practice to do self-introspection. This self-introspection exercise tells how sincere devotee we are. Anyone who is sincerely interested in progressing in Krishna consciousness will give importance for self-introspection. And the formula for self-introspection is HGI, honest, guided introspection. So these three variables need to be taken into consideration when we introspect. One is called honesty, second is called being guided, third is called introspecting. And if any one of them is missing, then the whole process is futile. If I am guided and introspecting, but if I am not honest, then there is a problem. If I am honest and guided and I am not introspecting, then there's a problem. If I am honestly introspecting, but if I am not guided, then also there is a problem. So I would like to conclude my first reflection by saying that through this current context, we get to learn, we get to realize, we get to understand that there can be demoniac propensities within oneself. And as Prabhupada writes, that Harava Bhaktasya Kuto Mahad Guna, non-devotees may possess exalted material qualities, but because they are foolish, they have no good qualifications. So it is important to note that we may have so many things, both material as well as apparent spiritual, but then if we are not very careful, if we are not very prudent, then probably we will wrongly conclude. My second reflection is about this, extrapolation or extension of the first reflection. We need to learn to recognize demoniac quality surrounding ourselves. Searching within ourselves, if it is difficult, searching around us is equally difficult and important. The reason being that in Kali Yuga, Kali and Maya takes the form of a devotee, takes the form of a Brahmana, takes the form of a preacher, takes the form of a sadhu, and try to approach us. And how did Ravana kidnap Mother Sita? He took the form of a saint. So it is much easier to, confuse someone, much easier to drag someone away from Krishna consciousness, especially when we are not careful. That is why repeatedly we have been warned. What is the warning? The warning is that anytime when we want to learn Krishna consciousness, we learn Krishna consciousness from a bona fide source, through a bona fide process, for a bona fide purpose. So these three things are there. Then this is the most simplest as well as pleasing process to practice. So bona fide source, bona fide process, bona fide purpose, they need to be verified. So what we discussed, first reflection is about a bona fide purpose. So I am reflecting upon myself and searching for the truth. Why am I doing what am I doing? If they are meant for pleasing Krishna, I need to be extremely honest and do constant introspection to keep aside the demoniac personality within me and eventually quarantine him and kill him. And the second reflection is about it is important to learn to recognize demoniac propensities and personalities surrounding me. Avaishnava mukodgirnam bhutam harikatamritam shravanam naiva kartavyam. Shravanam naiva kartavyam. It is saying that one needs to be very careful where we are hearing the knowledge from. Sarpa uchishta yatapayaha. Sarpa uchishta yatapayaha means a milk touched by the lips of a serpent is equally poisonous. Milk may be glorious, but because it is touched by the lips of the serpent. Prabhupada says this, shloka at least, quite dozen time in different lectures. Avaishnava mukodgirnam bhutam harikata amritam shravanam naiva kartavyam sarpa uchishta yatapayaha. So it is important for us to recognize the demoniac propensities around us. How are we going to recognize demoniac propensities around us? A demon means self-centered personality and filled with enviousness. So if you ever find enviousness around you, stay away from that. It's very easily said than done, but enviousness is an immediate quality of a demoniac person. Hiranyakashipu, Hiranyaksha, Kamsa, Ravana, all great demons. They had significant quality of envy against the Supreme Lord. And Prabhupada says in a lecture, if you are suffering in this material world, is also because of the envious nature within ourselves. We may have relinquished, cleared our gross enviousness, but our subtle enviousness is still not gone. What is subtle enviousness meaning? Subtle enviousness meaning enjoying the opulences of Krishna. All the resources that we are enjoying, we think that they belong to us. I have worked, I have earned, I have toiled. It is my money, my house, my property, my power, my family, my people, my name, my this, my that. And I want to enjoy them whilst I am practicing Krishna consciousness. Practicing Krishna consciousness is very good, but the propensity to enjoy the resources is not so very good. And this nature of this enviousness, the nature of this demoniac personality surrounding us makes us believe that these are all okay. Chalta hai. I used to always say this to my students. One word which is very, very detrimental for our devotional journey is this word called chalta hai. It's okay. This chalta hai meaning we take things lightly and practice Krishna consciousness in a manner that is meant for some social and some sort of an entertainment. Interestingly, whichever way we are in connection with Krishna, we are purified. In that sense, we are benefited. But if we want to become a serious practitioner, we need to be very careful. Here Kamsa, Hiranyakashipu, trying to talk about Atma Tattva Vishaya. He's trying to explain about the happiness and distress. What happened when Prahlad Maharaj did not, worship Hiranyakashipu, did not say Hiranyakashipu Namaha? What happened to all these philosophies? What happened to his understanding about happiness and distress? He wanted to be the ruler, he wanted to be the Raja, he wanted to be the Lord of the universe. So they will conveniently use the philosophy. So the second aspect that I want to say, second reflection is learning to recognize the demoniac propensity around us. Srila Prabhupada says that the politicians, the so-called leaders, the people who are in power, they sometimes use all sorts of flowery words. Sometimes they quote Bhagavad Gita, sometimes they quote scriptures, literatures. They will use every platform for gaining brownie points for their own personal agenda. Their intentions are not. That is why it is extremely important. In the preface to Nectar of Instruction, Srila Prabhupada writes, attitude of the practitioner defines our devotion. I'm paraphrasing this. You may be knowledgeable, you may be powerful, you may be second initiated, you may be whatever we may have. But if our attitude is not glued to glorify Krishna, please Krishna, serve Guru and Gauranga, rest every other thing is a baggage. Tyaktva turnamashesha mandalapati shrenim sada tucchavat bhutva dina ganesha kau karunaya kaupina kantashritau. Srinivasacharya is singing about the glories of 6 Goswamis. Tyaktva turnamashesha mandalapati shrenim sada tucchavat. They gave up all sorts of external designations and considering them as a disturbance to devotional practices. What all they gave up? They gave up their Tridanda, Sannyasi Danda. They gave up their saffron robes. They gave up their Janayu thread. They just simply wore a kaupin and kamandalu, chanting bag, and that's it. No decoration, no sorts of formality was interesting to them, Because they decided that at the end, these are all external things. That is why the definition of devotion is about Sarva Upadi Vinirmuktam Tat Paratyena Nirmalam Hrishikena Hrishikesa Sevanam Bhakti Ruchyate. Prabhupada writes in this purport, the designations of the conditioned soul in the material world are decorations of the body. Any type of designation, whether it is material designation or even spiritual titles. If I am assuming, if somebody else is calling me, that's a different thing. But if I am dwelling on them, oh, I am Swami, I am Maharaja, I am temple president, I am CEO, I am Brahmana, I am preacher, I am a Bhagavata, I should be getting all these credits if I am dwelling on them. They are all Upadhi. Sarva Upadhi Vinirmuktam. When all these Upadhis are gone, Tat Paratyena Nirmalam. When the Upadhis are gone, then you are Nirmalam, you are clean. Hrishikena Hrishikesa Sevanam. Then using your senses, please serve Hrishikesa. Hrishika Isa means master of senses. If I read the words reversely, Hrishikena Hrishikesa Sevanam Sarva Upadhi Vinirmuktam Tatparatyena Nirmalam. So when I serve, so both ways, when I am giving up the designation, I will become clean and I should serve the Supreme Lord. The converse is also true. By serving the Supreme Lord, I become clean. I will have all courage to relinquish all my false designation. So my second reflection is to say that at the end of the day, we all need to learn to recognize the demoniac people around us. And demoniac people around us generally are always in the garb of Vaishnavas, garb of a sadhu, garb of, because an obvious demon, anyway we will stay away from. There's a wonderful example Rupa Goswami is giving. He is giving an example of a snake and a snake with a jewel on its hood. He says any snake are very, very dangerous and we are afraid of them. But a snake with a jewel on its hood, Nagamani, a snake with a jewel on its hood is more dangerous because the jewel on its hood attracts a person towards the snake and eventually he gets killed. So a person, otherwise he is a demoniac in his appearance and his action and his things, is classified one, we will anyway stay away from him. But a person in the garb of a devotee, in third chapter of Bhagavad Gita, and also second chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna uses the word called pretender. So my second reflection is about one needs to be very careful. Of course, we'll come to the philosophical point that Hiranyakashipu made here. But the interesting point is when Hiranyakashipu is making this point, and we know who Hiranyakashipu is, it's very, very important to say that, how the person being self-centered. That is why Prabhupada is starting this purport with a reference to the Bhagvatam verse, Yasyatma Buddhi, Kunapetri Dhatuke. What is he saying? Anyone who identifies the body as the self, byproducts of the body as its kinsman, place of birth as worshipable, going to pilgrimage for, just taking the dip and not meeting Vaishnavas. Sa eva gokaraha. They are either cows or asses. Which means what? Technically going to a holy place to take a dip, it is not wrong. But Prabhupada says it is incomplete. It is something futile. Considering our own kinsman as everything. Nobody is saying don't give importance to body. Nobody is saying don't give importance to your near and dear ones. Nobody is saying that you should not, be doing something for your homeland. But what is the propensity? What is an understanding? What is the connect? What is the perspective towards them? If they are meant to be glued to your own self, then there is a danger. So I want to end my second reflection by saying it is important for us to learn to recognize the demons surrounding ourselves. And once we are very clear about this particular aspect, we will choose our Sangha, whom to talk to. So I was talking in another class, we were mentioning that in our communication and association with others, we will classify them into 5 types. The association where I will learn and serve. The association where I will share my heart. The association where I will teach. The association where I will do simple transaction. An association where I will completely stay away and run away from them. So we will have a very clear-cut classification. Where I will learn and serve is where I always go and try to, purify myself, my superiors, my guru, my mentors, my senior devotees, my Sangha. That's where I constantly run after. My friends, I have devotee friends with whom I will share my heart, share my realizations, share my learnings, share my happiness, seek for some help. And I will teach my juniors and my dependents about the lessons that I have learned. And I will keep simple transactions with people in this materialistic world. I will have transactional relationship, nothing, no emotions attached. And there are some relationships, there are some association where I am extremely careful and I will avoid. And that avoidable association is Asat Sangha, especially when envy is predominant there. So the third reflection with respect to the philosophical aspect that is mentioned over here, so where Hiranyakashipu is talking about how this nature of this material world, material modes, and how they are, influencing our journey. We keep moving from one body to another. We move from one situation to another. And this is bound to happen, but the soul is never affected. We will see a similar episode in Kamsa's, life. After 6 children of Devaki were killed, the 7th one vanished. So Kamsa's night became very, very intense. He literally had sleepless nights. And when the sleepless nights happened, when he went inside, when Krishna was born and Krishna was exchanged. So Kamsa is actually going to meet Devaki. And at that time, he is consoling Devaki. There is a whole, chapter or maybe whole set of 15-20 verses in which Kamsa is talking about the philosophy of soul, and he is giving the lecture to Devaki. My dear Devaki and Vasudeva, I guess you all should, take things much easier. I know that 6 children of you are dead. It may have caused you some pain, but please understand, the universe is the final control, and eventually everything is under the will of providence. He gives so much of bhashan. This idiot only killed them, but then he goes on giving all sorts of philosophy. Those philosophical statements are correct, but sometimes the correct philosophical statements from a wrong person does not do the necessary transformation. In this current context, he is just communicating to his family members and trying to console them and establish his superior position. So the idea is that from this, whether to learn philosophy or not, we have plenty of places to learn philosophy. But you have learned one philosophy, that it is important to know where to learn the philosophy from. So my third reflection is about the types of envy and how that envy manifests in someone, and we need to be careful. So I'm going to talk about 4 types of envy and that is purely for us to beware and know that we should not become victim of them, neither we should carry such an envy within our heart. So these 4 types of envy is 4 different levels of envy. So you can read more from 3rd canto 32 chapter on this particular thing. This is actually explained by Kapila Dev to Devahuti. So the 4 types of envy are Khala, Dvesha, Asuya, and Matsara. Kala means this envy is such that the living entity plans and executes the destruction of other living entities. So they simply plan. What is this whole conversation is all about? After consoling, Hiranyakashipu is going to plan to finish Lord Vishnu. He is giving Atma Tattva Gyan. He is giving philosophy of life. But what is he going to do now? He is going to kill Vishnu. So Kala is, this envy is such that the living entity plans and executes the destruction of other living entities. Second, Dvesha. This envy is very dangerous and affects our blood circulation. Basically, we tend to hate the living entity and create enmity for them in our minds. Dvesha, we simply build hatred. Prabhupada repeatedly says, Para Dukkha Dukhi. This is Vaishnava. They cannot tolerate others' pain. And this person with Dvesha is Para Dukkha Sukhi. He gets happiness in others' pain. Or he gives philosophy and knowledge to others so that everybody else hates that person. So basically, Dvesha, we tend to build in hatred. It is said that we are supposed to hate the sin, but not the sinner. But this type of envy is there in somebody's heart, Dvesha. It not only hates the sin, it also pretty much hates the sinner. And to an extent that, the enmity is built and expanded. Third is called Asuya. This envy is like a very subtle one, makes the living entity to find fault with others always. They cannot see good qualities in others. They will always try to find, some sort of a fault in others. They will never be able to appreciate good things in others. This is very subtle, and this subtle envy is some sort of a very danger one. And this subtle envy cannot, let the person remain in peace. For anyone who gets some credit, he will find some reason to show them down. He'll find some reason to snub them. So it is very important that we need to learn to make sure that we recognize this. And for this, Matsara is like a 1, 2, 3 combined with a mega package, which is like a total envy, where without discrimination, you keep there's no discrimination only. Without discrimination, it is showing down the others, biting others like a mosquito. Without discrimination, go on, bites everyone. So this envy, bites everyone without discrimination. So we should be very careful. They cannot simply, these people are called sadists. So they simply cannot, remain happy with anybody else's happiness. I was, talking to someone. There's a type of psychological disorder called narcissist mentality. Narcissist mentality meaning I will simply do anything to show the other person down, and I will not be able to remain happy when they are succeeding. The reason I am talking about these 4 types of envy are, these envy is a seed of a demoniac quality. There are many other demoniac qualities on top of it, but this is the primary seed. So if this envy is present within us, surrounding us, better learn to identify, kill them, because they may destroy our entire, Krishna Bhakti. And I would end with my last reflection, fourth reflection, which talks about, the solution, which talks about how it is important for us to get rid of this. Like, Hiranyakashipu came with such a heavy personality, and such a heavy personality couldn't do anything, what he wanted to do in front of wonderful Prahlad Maharaj. So Viswanatha Chakravarti Thakura is giving a wonderful explanation about sadhus and asadhus. So that is my fourth reflection to conclude this current context. So he's telling there are three types of sadhus. One is called Mahattara, second is called Mahatma, third is called Ati Mahatma. So he says Mahattara is one who overlooks the faults and sees the good qualities. Second is Mahatma, one who takes small good qualities and magnifies them, not seeing small faults. Ati Mahatma sees good qualities in others where there are none. So the idea is that the reason we are mentioning about this is by associating with any type of these sadhus, even with Mahattara, ya Mahatma, ya Ati Mahatma, we will be able to completely wipe away the demoniac propensity within ourselves, because their conduct, their aura, their purity will help us uproot this most trivial, difficult demon within ourselves. Because look at the Ati Mahattara, sees good qualities in others where there are none. And Viswanatha Chakravarti Thakura in the same context explaining about four types of asadhus, four types of non-devotees. He says number one is asadhu thinks that someone's good qualities will turn into faults. Say second is asadhu tara, see faults only, overlooking good qualities. Third is asadhu tama, takes small faults, magnifies them, seeing no good qualities at all. Fourth is ati asadhu tama, sees only faults in others even when there are no faults. So we are talking about two sets of paradigm. One is on the complete left, another is complete right. So these technical information we may forget, but at least we should remember the seed of this technical information is how are we seeing things, in what perspective we are seeing things. So Krishna consciousness is about perspective. Krishna consciousness is about attitude. Krishna consciousness is about intentions. Krishna consciousness is about devotion, emotions, sentiments, philosophy, and all the other things are supporting to this. Your renunciation, your austerity, your philosophy, your meticulousness, all those things are wonderful, needed. But if intentions, attitude, perspectives, and your devotions and emotions and sentiments are not towards glorifying the Supreme Lord, then Sramayeva hi kevalam. Dharmasya anuskita pumsa visvakshena katasuyaha atatpadeti ratin Sramayeva hi kevalam. So from this context, whilst the topic about Atma Tattva Dhyan is being imparted by our dearest Hiranyakashipu, and Prabhupada appreciates that even demons had the sense of understanding about Atma and this body. So to that extent, they were, they were better than the demons of Kali Yuga. But then they are demons in any case. By demons, they were utilizing all of them to, establish their agenda, and hence we should be wary of where to learn the knowledge from and in what mood we are learning knowledge from, for what purpose we are learning the knowledge. So I would stop here. So we had 4 sets of reflections today in our discussions. The first reflection we discussed is about try to recognize the demon within ourselves. Second reflection was trying to recognize the demon surrounding ourselves. Third is the seed of a demoniac quality being envy. We spoke about 4 types of envy. The fourth reflection is about how this envy can be easily curbed by associating with the sadhus. We spoke 3 types of sadhus, and we also spoke 4 types of asadhus, which is very important for us to help in our self-introspection. So I will stop here and take up any questions or comments or any reflections from this current context. Hare Krishna, Granthara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Nitai Gaurav Premanande, Hari Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna, prabhuji.
Questions or comments?
Pranam. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. It was such a nice class reflecting on the demonic propensities in the garb of a sadhu. It's very difficult for the neophytes and the gullible to deal with because they're easily carried away, and that is why the Prabhupada, I think it is said that a plant or a small plant which is tender needs to be protected by the fences, but when the tree is big enough, then it can give shelter and shade and fruits and flowers, everything, and cool. So that is why, I mean, most of the people, most of the devotees are in the neophyte stage and gullible stage, and they tend to be carried away by the other neophytes. Think that the association, the rules of the association that you mentioned are very important. Whom to associate, whom to give association to, whom to take association from, whom to deal with at a peer level, and again within that how much to open your heart to, depending on the you said right, purity, and of course materialistic person stay away. But there again, this is little conflict of this sin and sinner issue. Avoid the sin. I mean, we avoid the sin, but not the sinner, right? So, but we say that asat sanga tyag. So, what does it mean? Krishna also said.
The idea is that we are not supposed to be having the quality of hating someone. There should be compassion. Everyone is a candidate who can be rescued. Envy is a virus. Because he is affected by a virus, we should not just ignore him. It is like a COVID case. If your family member got COVID, you will not go and hug him. You will go and quarantine him first. Just because you are quarantining him doesn't mean that you're disliking him. You're quarantining him so that he is not, becoming contagious to others. And whilst you are quarantining him, you are trying to find some help to come to help him to come out of the diseased condition. So when Prabhupada says you are supposed to hate the sin and not the sinner, he meant that everyone is supposed to be given help. But who can help, how help has to be extended, needs to be prudently thought through. Just because you are supposed to help doesn't mean that you just go and get yourself, affected. So the intent is that our support to these dveshis also is needed. That is why preaching movement is going to help everyone. But the problem is that we are not knowing how to do it, and there are a lot of intricacies associated we tend to ignore. So that is the message. Making sense?
Yes, yes, that works. That definitely works at the Uttamadhikari level, because he can transform others. His faith is very strong. He's philosophically very sound, can defeat others. Madhyamadhikari also, to some extent, yes, because his faith is strong, and he's philosophically also he can do little bit. But then also, if the the sin in the body of a particular person is strong, then association may still pollute him. And of course, definitely at the neophyte level, it is. So this instruction is for the Mahabhagavad or the
This instruction is for everyone, Prabhu. The idea is that suppose Prabhupada is rescuing some NES people, your duty is to serve Prabhupada. So you are, in that case, you are part of the mission. You may not be directly dealing with the NES people, but because the mission is to clean. What is Prabhupada's agenda? Bring in holy name, drive Kali away. Can you and me drive Kali away? I cannot drive Kali away. I'm not sure about you, but I cannot drive Kali away. But I can party to those who are driving Kali away by being an insignificant servant. So in that case, you are part of the soldier. The smallest Vanara in Rama's army got all the credit of winning Mother Sita. But did the smallest Vanara, even the squirrel for that matter, got the credit? So the intent here is the message of why we are talking this message in this forum, because we need to know that what is the caution. We need to know what is the mission. We need to know who is the person who is working for the mission. So number one, I will caution myself. Number two, I will subscribe to the mission. Number three, by me joining the missionary, I will be assisting in some capacity. I am not a doctor in COVID, but I will provide all the necessary support, extend support, social support for the doctor and to drive away COVID. That is the message. So at the end of the day, my, assisting them by supplying masks, by being a driver, by sending food to the doctor in the hospital, by providing laundry services to him, I may not directly assist in, curing COVID patient, but I'm equally part of the mission. So the intent here is that today, when we are reading these messages, it is not just a philosophical insight. That's why I said it is caution for yourself. You should know what the mission for yourself. You should also know who is the missionary. All three are, included in this context. Make sense?
Yeah. So the squirrel was in the Lord Ram's army. So he was not dealing with Ravan directly. So he was still protected. He was making the bridge. So the idea is to be associated with Uttamadhikaris and help make the bridge for Prabhupada, and yet I mean, you do the help in that way, and identify yourself, myself with Prabhupada, not with that the sinner, so to say.
Yes. Yes. Okay. You are assisting Prabhupada who is curing the patient.
Mm-hmm.
And there will be a day you may be empowered to cure the patient. That is in the hands of your Guru and Gauranga. Today I am just a soldier. Tomorrow I may become captain. Day after tomorrow I may become brigadier. Fourth day I may become who is who of the army. But today I am a soldier. I am towards a mission. I will take orders. I will protect myself. I will protect my country. That's my status today. But if you are continuing to be a soldier, you will definitely get promoted. I will not say I will not take promotion. I will take promotion, not out of pride, but out of responsibility and acknowledgement. I will take further promotion. I will take further promotion. This is the process.
Yeah. Yes, and yes, that's so nice. And then your classification of the envy from the third canto, that is also eye-opening. Matsara is the top, and Dvesh, Icha Deso Samutrena Vadanda Mohina Bharata, Krishna says. So this is the reason we are here. Dvesh is one level of envy that I came to know nicely. And Khala is the one who Shotho and Khala are similar, right? The is a pretender, right? He's a pretender.
Yes.
Kalau Khala Dharmini. I mean, Balabhajarya says, pass and that what is that? Sarvamargesu nastesu kalau cha khala dharmini pasande prachura loke Krishnaya bhagatir mama. Yes. So khala dharmini. Yes, all around the khala, they are having one face towards you and one face elsewhere. Yeah, there is envy. Yeah, correct, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Yes, your so valued association is so much cherished. Please continue to yes, your valued association. Thank you, Hare Krishna.
All glory to Prabhupada. Thank you.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, my Danat Pranam to you. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai. Prabhuji, like there's one line that mentions Hiranyakashipu had clear knowledge of the spirit, soul, and the subtle and gross bodies, right?
Yes.
And then, of course, Prabhupada makes this thing that now people are even worse than that, degraded. But just coming to one point is that when he had clear knowledge of spirit, soul, and the subtle and gross bodies and stuff like that, then why was he against Lord Krishna and Vishnu, and why he didn't understand, he's having knowledge?
My father had a bypass surgery in 2014. And the cardiologist who performed the surgery, a very famous guy, he performs 4 to 5 open heart surgery in a day sometimes. And between every surgery, he used to have 4 cigarettes. So does that cardiologist not know the impact of smoking cigarette, nicotine inside the body? Yes, full knowledge. The point here is, that is exactly the point. Just because I know is not enough. You know is a good thing. But what is my intention? The idea is, even if you go and talk to Muslim extremists, there are extremist groups. They would have studied Bhagavad Gita. If you go to them, they will quote you Bhagavad Gita more than you and me quote. They will quote Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam and Vedas and Rig Veda and Sama Veda, Yajur Veda. They will quote, I mean, probably you and me cannot even stand. I cannot stand. Maybe, I cannot talk about you. I cannot even stand. Sometimes they'll quote some verses and they'll make you feel, oh my God, I never even knew this. Krishna said this in Bhagavad Gita. The point here is, when we are trying to know certain things, they are supposed to be known in connection with the ultimate goal of life. If I just know with a completely different goal of life, then what is happening is demonia. That's exactly my point was. So Hiranyakashipu knowing is like a politician referring about Ramayana in his political speech. If I am glorifying Lord Rama in a political speech, will I not get Sukruti? I will get Sukruti. Just by calling out the name Rama, I will get Sukruti. But will I call him as a devotee? I will not. Because his intentions, his goal, his focus is trying to drive home everyone for self-glorification. So the point is, Hiranyakashipu knowing this, you and me know we are supposed to do attentive chanting. You and me know we are not supposed to sleep in Bhagavatam class. You and me know every day we are supposed to, very dutifully perform our services without being attached to sense gratificatory things. But why are we still doing it? Why am I still doing it? Again, I'm sorry, I have not included you. Why am I still doing it? Because there is something called as conditioning, and our connect to this, embracing this materialistic ideologies and not yet subscribing to the ultimate mission of the Lord. Or we are still in work in progress. Maybe we all have agreed, but we are still work in progress. We may eventually do it. In case of Hiranyakashipu, he was not in work in progress. He was very clear that he wants to accomplish his agenda. He wants to take revenge of the Lord. He wants to make sure that all his statements are meant to say that, hey, I am eventually going to plan. They let this, enemy, Vishnu, be finished. So that is the reason these knowledge are supposed to be rejected, even though they apparently are true. So the message is true, but the intentions are wrong. The forum is wrong. So for us as speakers, as the seekers of truth, when we read these verses, the lesson we should learn is, you see, this lesson is spoken by Hiranyakashipu, but he became Hiranyakashipu. So better we, as a Bhagavatam speaker, as a devotee, as a preacher, not eventually become one. We should become a simple, humble servant of our Gurudev. That's a warning. Making sense?
Yes, Prabhuji. I was a little confused. Maybe I didn't read the whole, concentrate fully on the whole thing. So, yeah. And also you mentioned about like Partha Prabhu saying about enviousness, 3 categories. I had never heard of that, but can you pinpoint the place where to get more, and or maybe explain a little bit? Like, because enviousness, I didn't know that it has more categories. It'll be interesting to know, because then we can,
There are 4
like
levels
that's
of
a
bhakti. Dvesha, Asuya, Matsara.
Okay, I
Kala,
didn't.
Dvesha, Asuya, Matsara. 3, 32, 39, 42. You can read in that context.
Wait, Prabhuji, I'll look. No, you have to give me this from Bhagavatam, you're saying?
Yeah.
So it's 3?
3rd canto, 32nd chapter, text
Yes.
number 39 to 42.
30 to 32?
332, shloka number 39 to 42.
39 to 42. So that makes it easier. Thank you so much. You did the homework.
Okay.
So, yeah, because I just want to read about it, because, I always have this fear in my mind that we often hear that we came to this material world because we are envious of Krishna. So then I sometimes wonder, like, what is this enviousness? Enviousness is must be really a big thing, because so we all are here because of enviousness. We need to know what these enviousnesses are, and I want to know more detailed. Maybe hear like a class on it, on the different types of enviousness. So maybe I can read it a little bit and enlighten myself, make some notes, so that way, not commit a mistake. Because who wants to come back to the material world where there is it's getting worse in the Kali Yuga day by day, from weather to situations, war. It's it's something which we really have to take, like, because I also heard that if we are envious of one person also on this planet Earth, or have any kind of propensities like that, then there is no way we can go back to the Godhead. So, but those enviousness keep coming with the modes of material nature. And so thank you for mentioning this. So that's one thing really, like, I wanted to dig into. And through your class, it helped me, I'm going to read the verses. And so much Bhagavatam giving us so much, all glories to Bhagavatam. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. All Bush Prabhupada. Any other questions, comments, reflections?
About that question of the demon sarpachushta payojatha, so can it be classified as jnana vijnana sahitam? Krishna says jnana vijnana. So he has jnana but not vijnana. Can it be classified that way, or can it be classified?
Yes. So that's the right way of saying. Anyone who is just having jnana is not enough. You don't have vijnana. And even vijnana, you need to eventually go past, the level of understanding the emotions and devotion. Just actions. First is knowledge, application of knowledge, and eventually dovetailing that knowledge to, towards the desired goal. So you're right. That way we can say, Hiranyakashipu has not applied that knowledge in the right way. Yes, you can say that.
or is it like the Maya Aparita Jnana?
Both ways. Actually, the idea is that sometimes these are all some words and understandings. They picked it up, but they have not subscribed to it. So I speak several things just because I know to manage the situation. Like a specific marketing a product. Just to convince the other person, I may use certain jargons and certain terminologies, but I may not actually know what I am talking about. I will just blabber something. So Maya Aparita Jnana to hai, but the idea is that even if apparently considering that he has got right knowledge, but since he has not applied, why he has not applied? Maya Aparita Jnana, because intelligence has been taken away by Maya, because he has been having attachment towards self. That is why Sai Eva Gokaraha. He has been attached to his own land of birth. He's thinking his body as self, his extension of his body as his own resources. So those are all very good explanation about Maya Aparita Jnana.
Yes, Prabhu. Yes.
Okay. Any other thoughts, comments, reflections?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam, Prabhupada Maharaj. Thank you so much for this nectarine class and explaining about 4 types of envy. I also heard first time, so I'm going to read it again and absorb more about that. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Madhurya Kadambini and Manasiksha, then Srimad Bhagavatam, several places this envy has been very nicely explained. So thanks to my seniors, I've heard this also from my seniors, and there's a lecture of Mahavishnu Goswami Maharaj where he's talking about these 4 types of envy as a pest. Really, we need to do pest control. So otherwise, the pest will eat away all the fasal. Anyway, thank you for your kind appreciation. All goes to Prabhupada and all goes to Prabhupada's servants.
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you so much for sharing whatever you hear. Hare Krishna. So, if nobody has any question or comment, we can end up the call here. Vanchakalpadurvasya prapasittu evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavibhyo namo namaha. अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। नमाचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। श्री प्रभुपाद की जय। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय। राम गिरधारी प्रभु की जय। थैंक यू। हरे कृष्णा।
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you.
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु, धन्यवाद प्रणाम, जय श्री प्रभु।
Hare Bol.
हरे बोल। थैंक यू प्रभु जी। हरे कृष्ण।